video, I'll tell you guys how I managed to beat all 4 chapters in TDX's latest event, all on Nightmare difficulty. So without wasting any more time, let's get started. Alright, so when it comes to chapter 1, the best thing to do is to get a ghost. So as the first wave starts, we get introduced to the Heretic, who is the main boss of chapter 1, and as he talks, he sends these villager guys. And as wave 2 is starting, the boss is talking about some interesting stuff about the villagers, you know, the average TDX lore. After that, I get a meg down which specifically is good against these weird knife girls. These girls throw knives at your towers which damages them, but they were very easy to take out. I then got a John down for some extra DPS and then upgraded it to the bottom path. Also got another ghost down which was very useful, would help me with Mr. Saws. I also encountered the Screaming Lady and was also able to upgrade the ghost for the drone ability. Now the drone ability was very useful, especially for this wave since the drone can actually unstuff enemies. Anyways, after beating wave 14, the next wave introduced us to the executioners. Though they can kill stuff, they weren't much of a problem. And now, the boss. So for chapter 2, I started by placing an attack heli and by also upgrading it a few times. And on wave 9, we were already having some problems. Luckily it wasn't enough to actually kill me, but there were more coming. So in a panic, I placed a Z which actually came in clutch just barely. Unfortunately we weren't done yet as we have more leagues coming. So to help out, I upgraded my heli to bottom half and we got more dialogue by the engineer. Anyways, my main goal now is to upgrade my Zeds as much as possible. But while I was upgrading my Zeds, 2 corrupted predators spawn. Now the crazy thing about these predators is that they can run. Although they were able to run supersonic speed, they were still easy to defeat. After that, I focused on extra reams and then had to fight a few endless enemies that are basically just there as filler enemies. And after that, it was now time for the second boss of this event.
I put myself together with the pieces of your demise.
For chapter 3, I got turret down and also upgraded it. So the first wave starts and we have a ton of enemies approaching. Now the interesting thing about chapter 3 is that there is no path, so the enemies walk freely. Meanwhile, my turret is trying its hardest to defend the artillery. Anyways, after upgrading my turret to 2-2, I did start to get barracks. My plan was to get a 4-2 barrack and get 4 more 4-2 barracks. At this point, I'm just waiting to max my barracks. Meanwhile, the scouts are out here fighting against the horde. Anyways, I finally have enough to max the barrack and I got to see the artillery animation. W animation, to be honest. Now wave 2 starts introducing the Dreadnoughts. Now these guys are very tanky and can be a serious problem. Now if we just place scarecrows right next to them, they become stuck and are much easier to take out. And after maxing out my barracks, I started upgrading my turrets all the way to max level. Plus I'm getting another turret down, a massive wave of enemies started approaching the artillery. Thankful I was able to overcome the huge rush, and I was now going to wave 3, where things got a lot more interesting. For starters, wave 3 introduced us to some more tankier flying enemies, also known as cursed devourers. Luckily turrets are able to detect flying enemies, so it was good. And after that, I decided to spam a whole lot of scarecrows. And as I'm spamming more scarecrows, several tanks just started spawning in. These are the Battlemaster tanks, and they pretty much just shoot at your towers. Anyways, I was able to overcome the flying enemies and tanks, and I was now entering wave 4. Things were going good at first, but then a whole bunch of tanks just suddenly spawned, so I decided to continue placing turrets and spam sentries all around the map. I just continuously spammed sentries and didn't stop spamming them. And now I was on wave 5, where I now have to fight 5 different bosses. So enjoy some more boss fighting. chapter 4, I started by not recording myself placing the turrets. So yeah, I'm a bum. Anyways, we're actually doing pretty good for the first wave, and a few minutes later, we cleared wave 1, and we're moving on to wave 2, where we have the Wretched without his hoodie for some reason. So after waiting a bit, I upgraded my turret and got a second one right next to it. And after a bit of tax collecting, I upgraded my second turret and started working on golden mine layers and upgraded the bottom half. And after demolishing wave 2, we're moving on to wave 3, where John decided to absolutely spam us with tanks. And after surviving the tank apocalypse, the Dreadnoughts started to reappear. However, they were easy this time around, and we're moving on to wave 4, where we're absolutely getting spammed by tons of predators, and not just normal predators, but even corrupted predators that were summoned by the bosses.